Hello everyone, this is Professor Rajeshwari Sharma and today we are going to discuss the subject Indian economy. In last few lectures we have started with the second unit under this subject, that is Indian economy and policy, and here we were discussing the first chapter under this unit, that is Indian economy. In this chapter we have dealt with introduction to Indian economy, the structure of Indian economy and the feature or the characteristics of Indian economy. Today we are going to see the characteristics of developing or the underdeveloped economy and the challenges of the Indian economy. So let's start with the features of developing or underdeveloped economy. See, when we are discussing the features of developing or underdeveloped economy, so it will be somewhat similar to the features of Indian economy, because Indian economy is also one of the major developing economies in the world. So first one here is low per capita income. What is per capita income? So we get per capita income when we divide national income by the total population, then we get per capita income. See, when we talk of developing economies, so generally the rate of growth of national income is less or lower than the rate of growth of population. Therefore, the per capita income in the developing economies are low. Next one is high population. See, when we talk about the developing economies, so here there is high gap between the birth rate and the death rate. When we talk about the death rate, so as it is the developing one, here the innovation relating to the medical science technologies are being taken place, and due to the developments and the innovations in the medicals and science, the death rate is declining. So the death rate in such developing economies are low and decreasing day by day. But when we talk about the birth rate, so the awareness level is still not so high in the developing economies. The people are still not understanding the importance of the small families. They're still believing in the joint family system. They're still having the low literacy level, because of which there is lack of awareness regarding the population control, because of which the birth rate are still high in such developing economies or developing countries. Because of this gap, there is high population growth in the developing economies. The next one is dominance of agriculture sector. When we talk about the agriculture sector, so it is one of the sector which provides the job to the large chunk of population. It is a sector which requires low capital as well. Means in this sector person can enter with the low capital also. It is a sector where more and more labor intensive technology is used in the developing economy, so that employment opportunities can be provided to the large chunk of population. So therefore the many people in the developing economies are based on the agriculture, are based on or dependent on the agriculture sector for their livelihood, for meeting their basic standard of living. So developing economy, developing economy is generally having the dominance of agriculture sector. Then next one is inequalities in distribution of income and wealth. In most of the developing or underdeveloped countries, we are going to find the inequalities in the distribution of income and wealth. In such countries, you will find the high gap between the rich people and the poor people. You'll find that the people who belongs to the capitalistic class or the entrepreneur class, they are the rich, and the people who are belonging to the low income group, who are generally belonging to the labor class, are considered as poor. So there is high inequalities in distribution of income and wealth in the developing economies. Like in India, 10% of people who belongs to the top class or upper middle class shares the 80% of national income, and the remaining 90% of people who are generally who belongs to the poor class, they are sharing the they are having share of only share they are having only 20% of national income in their share. So there is high inequalities in distribution of income and wealth in the developing economies. Then we have low rate of capital formation. When I say the capital formation, so what does it refer? See, capital formation means channelizing the savings, channelizing the resources towards the productive use for increasing the efficiency, for increasing the investment. So, as we have seen, the per capita income in the developing economies are low. And when we talk about the income, so it is having two parts, that is saving and the consumption. When the per capita income is low, when the per capita income of person is low, so they are having low disposable income in their hands, so most of the portion of their income goes towards the consumption, goes towards the meeting basic needs, coping up with the basic needs. Therefore the proportion of saving declines, and when the proportion of saving declines, so the investment also declines. So therefore in developing economies there is generally low rate of capital formation due to low rate of savings and high propensity to the consume. Then we have next one is underutilization of resources. See, in developing economy the literacy rate is generally low, even though the resources are available in abundant quantity or it is adequate, but when the people or the technology that is required to make optimum utilization of resources is not sufficient in a country or economy, so can it make optimum utilization of resources? No. So the situation is same in the developing countries, where the people are not having adequate skills, the technology is not adequate for making the optimum utilization of available resources. Therefore there is a problem of underutilization of resources, and sometimes the resources also goes waste in such economies. The next one is poverty. Poverty and unemployment are the twins. When there is a poverty, there is going to be the unemployment, and when there is going to be unemployment, there is going to be the poverty. So in the developing economies, generally the people are having the problem of unemployment and underemployment. So due to unemployment, due to the problem of unemployment, they do not get the high paid jobs, or they don't have the adequate skills for having the good job, for increasing their standard of living, for having the better quality of life, because of which they remain poor. So there is the problem of poverty as well in the developing economies. Then the problem of underemployment. Underemployment is a phenomena where an able-bodied person is not getting the is not getting work for the sufficient period of time. For example, in agriculture we see it's seasonal in nature. Even though the person who are working in agriculture can work for all 12 months, still the work is not there in the agriculture sector for full time, and when there is no work in the agriculture sector, so they remain the workless, or they remain the workless. They don't have any employment opportunities at that time, so there persists the problem of underemployment. So in developing economies there is a dominance of agriculture sector, and therefore there is a problem of underemployment in such economies. So these are the features of developing economy. Now we will see the challenges of Indian economy. So first one is inflation. See, inflation is a phenomena of rising prices. When the general price level increases above a particular extent, then we say there is an inflation in a country. And when we are talking about the developing country, so inflation is a grave issue for such country, and this situation of the inflation is not so good for such developing economies like India. Now, why inflation is not good for such economy? See, in inflation what happens? In inflation, the purchasing power of people is increasing, but the purchasing power of money is declining. See, uh, now I can buy 1 kg of tomatoes for rupees 40, right? 1 kg of tomatoes for rupees 40, but when the prices of tomato increase and it reaches to 50 per kg, so same quantity of tomato would be available for the 50 rupees. Means even after paying the more amount, I am getting the same quantity. Means even though the here the purchasing power of people has increased, but the value of money has declined, because with the same amount of money I am getting the less quantity of commodity. So in inflation, the value of money falls. And the second thing is that when the inflation increases, then most part of the income of the people goes towards the consumption. So the saving also decreases. The rate of saving also decreases in the country, which leads to decrease in rate of investment and the capital formation. The another effect of inflation, if we consider, is so it leads to the increasing imports and reducing exports. When there is inflation in the country, so your export will reduce, because when the prices of your goods and services are increasing, so there will be the less demand for the goods and services that you are producing. And when there is inflation in your country, mean the purchasing power of people is more. The available quantity of commodity is not adequate for fulfilling the needs of people. So you have to import the goods and services which are required in your nation from another economy. So of course the export of your country will decline, and the imports of your country will increase during the inflation, which will lead to the adverse balance of payment as well. So therefore, when we talk about the inflation, so it's not good for any of the developing economy. The next one is poor educational standard. See, when I'm talking about the educational standard, so here I'm talking about the quality of education. There is a slight difference between the literacy and the education. When we talk, even though the literacy rate in India is 77.7%, still we are saying we have poor educational standard. Means what? See, in India, the definition of literacy is any person who is above the age of 7 years and read and write any language is known as literate. But you just tell me one thing: if somebody is above the 7 year of age and he or she can read or write the language, so is he employable? Is that person having that much knowledge and skill that he can be employed in particular sector, employed in MNC, employed for some skill job? No, of course not. So even though the literacy rate is good in the country, but still when we talk about the quality of education, so in terms of quality of education, in terms of developing the required skill, in terms of making the people aware about the use of technology, providing the training and the skills to the people which make them employable, we are still lagging behind. So in India we have poor educational system. When we talk about the quantum of education, so India has the third largest education system in the world. But when we talk about the quality of education, so any of the university in India, any of the university, even IIM, IITs are not in the list of top 100 colleges of the world. So therefore we say that India is having the poor educational standard. The next one is fall in BOP. BOP is balance of payment. It's a statement of, it's a summary of exports and imports of a nation. So when we talk about the BOP, so India is one of the developing economy, and of course even though we are self-sufficient in terms of the agriculture production, in terms of the food production, but still when we talk about the capital goods, when we talk about the advanced technology, when we talk about the POL, that is petroleum, oil and lubricant, we are dependent on the other nation. We have to import it from the other nation. and the POL, that is petroleum, oil and lubricant, is having major share in the import basket of India, because of which our import is higher than our export, and due to which we are having the adverse balance of payment. Next one is increased level of inequalities. All the developing economies of the world, almost all the developing economies of the world are having this problem of increased level of inequality. Means in developing economies there is concentration of economic power, means the rich people or the top class people owns more and more wealth, and the people who are middle class or who belongs to the lower class are having very low share in the national income, and on the other hand the richer are getting the richer and poor are getting the poorer, and therefore there is an increased level of inequalities in the developing economy. Even though there is economic growth, but economic growth does not ensure the equitable distribution of income and wealth to all. If the economic growth is occurring in the country and the GDP growth is increasing, the national income is increasing, it doesn't mean that equitable distribution is being promoted in the country. So therefore there prevails the inequalities in the level of income and wealth in the developing countries. Then rigid labor laws. When we talk about the labor laws, so it is generally formulated by the government, and in the developing economies, for the welfare of the laborers, for the welfare of the people, for providing protection to the people, there are the rigid labor laws which are in the favor of the laborers. Like we don't have the hire and fire policies like the other developed nations have, because of which the industries hesitate to invest in such a countries whereby the labor laws are rigid. Because when the labor laws are rigid, so industries has to bear the people who are not so productive, who are not so efficient, because they are having the protection of the government. So industries prefers those nations which are not having very rigid labor laws, so that they can have more and more productive people at work, and those who are not working, for that they can use the hire and fire policies. So rigid labor laws is also one of the challenges of the developing economy, which causes investment to decline. Then we have inefficiency in agriculture production. So when we are talking about the Indian economy, so the contribution of agriculture sector in GDP is mere 17%, and 53 to 54% of population is dependent for their survival on the agricultural sector. So even though there is inefficient, so when the 54% people are working in some sector, so why does it contribute so less percent in the GDP of a nation? Due to the inefficiency in methods of production, due to the inefficiency in the different infrastructure that is there with this sector. So therefore in Indian economy we have the problem of inefficiency in agriculture production. The next one is large budget deficit. When we are talking about the Indian economy, so it's a developing one, so the need for the capital for the purpose of development is more, when and the budget deficit is where the revenue of a particular nation is less than the expenditure of particular nation, then it is known as the budget deficit. And in India, due to the more developmental needs, being a developing economy, we have the more developmental needs for which we have to incur more and more expenses. We are having the problem of large budget deficit. So these are the challenges of Indian economy. Here we are done with our first chapter of the under second unit, that is Indian economy. Tomorrow we will start with the next chapter. Till then, stay safe, keep studying. Thank you.